good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Dugout Crew Podcast. My name is Eric Lima, and this is the 20th episode of the show. And here with me, I thought I was going to have no one. I was going to fly solo, but thank God that Mr. Met is here. Friendly neighborhood. Oh, no, wait a minute. We got somebody else now. It is everybody's here. It's a Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble. Everybody. How you guys doing?
Joey is here.
Joey's here.
Yeah, everything's fantastic.
All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started on today's program, as you know, this will be only a half an hour because I, even though I'm sub-hosting for David for the time being, Rant and Rave is starting at 4 o'clock today, celebrating its 200th episode, and I want to make sure I'm well prepared for that, just in case Brandon and Jordan want to have a meeting with me and all. So this will be a short episode today. So I'm glad that everybody's here. We're gonna have some fun today. David's on vacation in Cape Cod with his family. He's still trying to make it, so he told me to do the news, and I got some serious news on injuries, accomplishments, and other news. All right, I'll start those off. Yankees Anthony Rizzo going to the IL with a likely concussion. That's going to hurt the Yankees lineup because Rizzo's a good hitter, and that is going to hurt them.
I think they said he's got he's got post concussion syndrome. He's had the concussion for 2 months ever since he had the collision with either Soto or Tatis.
And that's going to hurt the Yankees big time. And and I'm sure they're trying to stay out of the basement, even though the Red Sox are there for the time being in the AL East, but that will be something to figure out. Speaking of the Padres, Joe Musgrove underwent an MRI on his right shoulder that revealed inflammation in his right capsule and will be shut down for 3 weeks. That can hurt the Padres' chances in the playoffs. To go to the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, the Rangers, who have been on a roll, Josh Jung is on the IL, the third baseman, with the left thumb fracture out for 6 weeks. I don't know. Without him, I am very, very concerned. Phillies' Brandon Marsh also placed on the 10-day IL with a left knee contusion. That could hurt the Phillies' chances as well. Mets Starling Marte headed to the IL with a right groin strain. Ouch.
I was wondering where he was all this time.
Ouch. Right groin strain. That's a killer. Yeah. And then the Rays, who have been a juggernaut this season, Shane McClanahan, highly unlikely to pitch again this season with left forearm tightness. That's not good because I think he's probably one of the reasons why the Rays are in the position that they're in right now. But right now, Baltimore, I'll get to them. Baltimore has been on top of the AL East. Like I said, it's a reverse version this year for the AL East. The accomplishments. Shohei Ohtani. What can this guy not do? Anything? Sing? Host a game show? I don't know. He hit another home run. 40 home runs this season. You gotta love that.
I think he's making sushi.
Or make sushi? I don't know.
He's making sushi out of them baseballs.
That's right, man. Well, look at Pete Alonso. This guy's got like 35 already, 15 to 27 games. I mean, he's a
and House of Chayton is in the live chat. House of Chayton, how you doing? What's going on? So Shohei Ohtani, either he can devour hot dogs like his fellow countryman Kobayashi, or hits dingers. And he hits dingers, folks. Yeah. Man can hit dingers. That's what I like about Shohei Ohtani. Meanwhile, the Orioles' Jack Flaherty allows just 1 run and strikes out 8 in his debut with the Baltimore Orioles. That addition would help, I think, Baltimore Orioles to dominate the East if they keep going. Mm-hmm. Royals' Bobby Witt Jr. is the first player in Major League history with 20 home runs and 30 stolen bases in his first 2. Yeah, I do. That's why we're shortening it up to a half-hour show, Chayton, as I say. So that's why we're shortening up to a half hour. David already knows this, and everybody else already knows this, Chayton. So don't worry about a thing. First player in MLB history with 20 home runs, 30 stolen bases in the first MLB season. That is impressive. That's very impressive. I mean, I know 40-40 is really tough to do, or 50-50, but 20-30 in the first 2 seasons, that's pretty good. And the Braves were the first to win 70 games. The Braves are a juggernaut also. I say Braves, Ray. It's all good. Eric steps up to the plate. Yeah, so thank you very much, David. He's in the live chat, and hopefully he'll be in.
Oh, that's me that typed that. Okay. Oh. I have access to the team,
Okay. Oh, that's right.
I stepped up the first one, and it's kind of to the second one. So I was at Mac Chayton for you.
Yeah. Don't worry, Chayton. I'll be there soon.
Yeah,
that's why we're shortening thing up to a half an hour. Let's see. So, yesterday, Nick Castellanos hits for the Phillies 200 homers. 200 career homers for Nick Castellanos. Congratulations to him. And the dinger and the dinger Lollapalooza continues on as Weston Wilson of the Phillies hits his first home run in his first major league at bat. So very good. Awesome there.
He made his dad cry. His dad was watching.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Kodak moment, man. It's a Kodak moment.
Yeah, Kodak moment. Speaking of Kodak moments, another family member's crying. Michael Lorenzen threw a no-hitter in his home debut for Philly against Washington. Mother was crying.
That's a huge pickup for Philly because I know, well, they're going to be fighting with the Mets for playoff seeding anyways. So
that's not really. No, we're not fighting anybody. Are you kidding? It's Phillies and Marlins that are fighting the Braves right now. If you look at the standings,
I mean, there was plenty of fighting this week.
We'll get to that. We will get to that because all results from that went down. Seattle's Logan Gilbert, first right-handed pitcher to strike out Padres Juan Soto 3 times in a game.
And he's almost like Kevin Youkilis. He's just as patient, if not better.
Yeah. Kevin Youkilis. I will never forget that incident with Dennis Leary and Lanny Clark and raving about Kevin Youkilis. Who's the first base? Kevin Youkilis. Anyways. Astros manager Dusty Baker has won 2,153 wins as a manager. He won as many games as Cal Ripken plays him. All that. So that's pretty good for Dusty Baker. And he's got a World Series ring to boot. So congratulations to the Dustman, Dusty Baker. Transactions. Ramon Laureano, designated for assignment by the Oakland Athletics. Joey, you got thoughts on that?
For 6 years, Ramon was a great player for the A's. Unfortunately, his offense wasn't getting it done, but his defense was still plenty perfect. In my opinion, at least, as long as he's happy with the Guardians, because unfortunately, I don't think I'd be happy with the same team that let Trevor Bauer pitch.
Well, let's see what happens there.
At least he'll throw the ball over the wall on a line and not be pissed off about it.
Yeah, I never forget that, man. Anyways, on Red Sox, obviously Red Sox Trevor Story has been activated and really didn't help them in Tuesday's game, but they won yesterday. So Red Sox took 2-3 against the Royals, which is very, very good. Other news. Phillies Cole Hamels has officially retired after 50 seasons. 4-time All-Star, a World Series champ in 2008, and MVP with 2,560 career strikeouts. So we haven't heard much from him, and that's understandable reason why. So and Cole Hamels, thank you for your major service in the major leagues, and thank you for
Who's that?
We got to add.
That's David. He's coming.
What?
Hey, there it is.
David, what's going on?
Really good, Eric.
I'm doing pretty good.
It's a nature documentary now, is it?
It's a
if seagull comes flying in, duck. It's a seagull comes flying in, duck. And
dang.
Anyway, okay, there we go.
Kind of crew since episode 15, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Okay, we're going to continue on with the news. Kevin Brown, the Orioles broadcast suspended for no reason. I'll explain. I don't know who's running the Orioles.
Angelo's family.
The Orioles.
The Angelos family. The Angelos family must be snowflakes in this situation, or they must be having Beavis and Butthead helping them behind the scenes, because Kevin Brown was just saying, "Hey, the Orioles had a tough time earlier on against the Rays. Now they're picking it up, and now they're doing very, very well. They're in first place and all." And I'm trying to see, I saw that little clip and like, where did he go wrong? Where did he go? There was facts. There was facts that the stats were there. I don't know what the Angelos family must have been thinking. Whose bright idea was it? I heard he's going to be reinstated August 11th. That's tomorrow. So
for the Friday night game against Seattle.
But still, for no reason though, shows that there is so much weakness in management in the upper echelon of that tier, though, Eric. You have
to. That could be the reason why the Orioles have not won a World Series since 1983. For goodness' sake.
Possible.
Well, they just celebrated. Funnily enough, that same week he got suspended, they just celebrated the 40th anniversary of the 1983 Orioles.
Yeah.
But, also, I'm not going to stomp over David because David will do the rant himself. But I know he's gonna. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. But I showed David something earlier, and it was Al Michaels. And Al Michaels said they should have suspended the doofus who suspended Kevin Brown because who was it the other? I just watched something, and I forget who it was. It was Chip Carey, I believe. And he said something along the lines of, well, the last few seasons, they've lost 270 consecutive games to the Rays. And that's Chip Carey. That's one of the Carey family saying that. And then another guy's just like, the guy who he's talking with from the St. Louis broadcast is like, oh, well, they're doing better this year.
Yeah.
Exact same scenario, but it's an experienced commentator saying that on a non-Orioles broadcast. So it's just like, okay, where's the problem here? It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden is it this big of an issue? The A's are 33-82 right now. They're 49 games under 500. You guys have heard me bitch and complain. David, I'm sorry. But the A's trade away a bunch of good players. They traded away Fujinami. They traded Mole away. They had to release some of their players. But here's the thing. Why is it all of a sudden a problem to talk about how bad a team once was? If the Red Sox were doing bad, if the Mets the Mets aren't doing bad, but they had to trade away their players. Now, if Jerry Remy, God rest his soul, was still alive, would Eric get mad if he was the CEO of operations and say, hey, now, Mr. Remy, you can't talk like that about my Red Sox. That's my team. You cannot talk bad about my Red Sox.
No.
I don't think Eric would get mad because you understand the fact that when a team is terrible, because not too long ago, that's the team that lost 117 or so, 115 games. They went 47 and 115 for a Showalter team that didn't have any, that had talent and all the components of it. Why is it such a problem for you to talk bad about a team that won? I don't know what the graphics said. I don't remember, but they won like 3 games in 3 years. 3 years, so many games in 3 years against the Rays. If you were that incompetent and you're doing better now, it's okay to talk about that. It's okay to talk about failure. It's not an issue.
Yeah, it's the Angelos family. I don't know what is with them. It's like, are they afraid it's going to distract the team and all? The team understands its history.
I'm looking at the Orioles game right now. Sorry, Jesse. I know your Astros are playing the Orioles right now. But that's the thing. The Orioles are winning right now. They won yesterday. They won today. But at least the Orioles are not the Nationals, who got no hit yesterday by Michael Lorenzen in his second start.
Yeah, it's amazing. So the Orioles have turned a lot of things around. They have a lot of young crop players that have been stepping up to the plate, and that's been,
If I had to pick a team other than the Red Sox to fall in that AL East, that would be the Baltimore Orioles. If I had to pick another team other than the
I
Red Sox, that would
said
be.
it the best on Brian Snow's show. I said the baby birds are coming alive. They're hitting the bats all over the place, and they showed us Mets that they are for real. Because look at it, they went into freaking Citi Field and just dominated. And then you put up a 7 spot against the Yankees on Sunday Night Baseball. You're not fooling around there. Who win 9-3? You know.
Speaking of your Mets, WWE superstar LA Knight, let me talk to you throughout the first pitch of one of the games. Yeah. Come on. Whose game is it? Everybody say it with me.
LA Knight. Yeah.
I love that guy. That guy knows how to talk.
No, and it's interesting that the Mets actually won a series against the interesting struggling Cubs this past couple days. In fact, you know, I was like shocked to see that they actually won 4-3 last night. But those highlights again show that the Mets under pressure can only go so far without giving up a home run in the 9th inning to some lowly guy who's just having a tear for the year. You know what I mean?
Well, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to continue with the news, man, because I'm trying to say, hey, Luke, how you doing, buddy? Trying to make it short because, like I said, Rant and Rave's got 200 episodes coming up on 4 o'clock, and I got to be there. MLB issued a following suspension after the fight between the White Sox and Cleveland. You know, Tim Anderson, Jose Ramirez, WrestleMania. Okay. Tim Anderson's got 6 games since he basically started because he was such a hothead sometimes. He's a good player, but he's got to stop being a hothead and start channeling his skills with the bat in the glove. Jose Ramirez,
1 home run, 1 knockout. That's his season line.
Throw some ice on the bum, you know? Cool off.
Yeah. Tim Anderson's got 6 games. Like I said, because of the hothead. Jose Ramirez, 3 games, and 4 people got each a game. Emmanuel Clace, Pedro Grigio, Terry Francona, and Mike Sarba each a game. And finally, in the news, in the MLB news, Aaron Boone has been ejected for a 6th time this season. Is he trying to break Bobby Cox's record? I don't know. Well,
maybe.
And he was not holding back by mocking the umpire, Laz Diaz. And it's David's favorite ejection of all time. So that's the news.
I think McClendon's still the best. McClendon and Piniella are still the top 2.
Oh, yeah. And they should have been ejected more times than Bobby Cox. And
I think Bobby Cox has been he got ejected over 100 times, I think.
He said that's the all-time record for the most ejections.
Well, he did that in a short – he got suspended, I think, at most, like 6 times in a season on average. But that's going for a man. He's 82 now. He won 2,504 games. Yeah. I think he earned the right to have all those ejections and be okay as a manager.
Yeah.
Manages over 4,600 games, and it's just like, I don't care anymore. I'm old. Eject my ass.
Hey, and considering the fact that he took for the team, you know, he went up there and defended his players like a good manager ought to do. Yeah, why not? So you get ejected 100 times. He goes down there and has the buffet is ready for him. Man, he can have that wine and that steak and ready to go and have that cinnamon roll for dessert before the gang comes down and crashes the party, you know? So
I think if Eric was a manager, that'd be the best thing. Eric, you remind me of Tommy Lasorda.
So no, the man's a legend.
I know. I can only imagine Eric coming out of the dugout. He's sprinting as fast as the legs will carry him. He's just like, "You do not throw me out of the game. I'm going to yell at you, and I'm going to kick some dirt on your shoes, and I'm going to pull your hat over your head.
And then I'm going to go drink a Slim Fast after it's all done." He did all those Slim Fast commercials.
And I'm going to talk to E.O. Sky's grandfather and tell him how bad it is. Don't come to America. Yeah. WWE superstar and women's champ E.O. Sky. She talked about why she liked baseball because when they were promoting WrestleMania LA, she along with Carmella and Bobby Lashley visited the Angels, and her favorite player was Shohei Ohtani. So and she talked about how her grandfather was a professional baseball player in Japan, was good friends with Tommy Lasorda. That could have inspired Lasorda to sign Hideo Nomo back in '95, and you know what happened then.
There's always a connection to these stories, you know.
I'm telling you, this is.
He had 2 once-in-a-generation pitchers, too.
Yeah.
Valenzuela,
Yeah.
and he had Nomo.
Yeah.
Then again, he had Hiroki Kuroda, but Hiroki Kuroda was not as good as he could be.
I like the way when he pitches, he looks up at the ball. That's hilarious. When he looks up at the ball, like, ball, do it for me. You know, something like that.
Well, that was the way he worked. Was he used to be a pinch hitter too? That was why a lot of pitchers used to pinch hit or pinch run. Was Fernando Valenzuela was one of the best pinch hitting pitchers you would ever have. It's just like, hey, Fernando, grab a bat, and he'd be 190 pounds. He'd be 6'3", and he'd say, hit ball, see ball. And then he'd go out,
hit the ball, and the ball goes far. Hopefully, he catches it.
And that was always my favorite thing. Was if a pitcher was allowed to hit still, Greinke is one of my favorite hitting pitchers.
Oh, Greinke.
Because Greinke he's one of the few pitchers who would have had 10 stolen bases as a pitcher and 10 home runs as a pitcher. That is such a rare club for pitchers. And no, I'm not saying Ohtani's part of that, because Ohtani's a two-way player and he's doing that all on his own. I'll admit, Ohtani is a great player. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer eventually?
Yes.
If he goes back to Japan after this, probably. He's not going to be ahead of Buster Posey, though. You can't give him that.
Okay, David, you're there. How you doing over there, David?
I'm doing good.
I'll quickly do my Red Sox report first.
Yeah.
That way I can get out and try to. It's almost 8 minutes for me. If you want to take over the rest of the show, you can. Wholeheartedly. Thank you very much for letting me was a sub-host for you anytime. The Red Sox took 2 out of 3 against the Kansas City Royals. Game-winning grand slam for Pablo Reyes. I'm happy for that young man. That is a humongous opportunity. Bomb in the ninth, and Fisk pulled it. And he hit the Fisk pole for that game-winning grand slam. I thought that was totally super cool. And I know they lost the first game in the return of Trevor Story. So, and they won last night 4-3. Nick Pivetta, quality start for him against the Royals. Excuse me. And other Boston Red Sox news, even though they traded Kike Hernandez back to the Dodgers, they're still going ahead with the bobblehead giveaway of Kike Hernandez.
I mean, what are you going to do with that stuff? You're going to let it sit in the warehouse and just say, "Oh, hey, here you go."
Or maybe to sell it.
The Dodgers have paying him over the Red Sox thing, you know. But hey, I think you give away I think a way of saying thanks to Kike for his contribution to Boston. So that's what
he's in the talk again.
I think Jesse's going to be real happy to hear this, because I don't know if he's listening to the game, but Batista loaded the bases again. He gave up a slam the other night, and the Astros are down 2, and Diaz is up at the plate. He's already homered once.
This is another Red Sox news. There was a line drive. Kyle Isbell hit the ball. And David, I don't know if you noticed last night.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
A line drive. All right, and
the monster.
A viral mishap. And he hit a line drive. It hit the outlight. Inside the green monster broke it. Masataka Yoshida went to go get it, and he's like, "What's going on?" All of a sudden, the ball was stuck inside the light. It broke the light. It broke the light thing.
That is an all-timer if I've ever heard one, because I watched it and he got so confused. The ball gets stuck in the outlight. That's a definite hole-in-one if you've ever seen one.
And there's shards of glass everywhere, so he's trying to think, how the heck am I getting this ball out without getting cut?
Yeah.
Well, that's dangerous, because how old is Fenway Park? It's been around for 111 years now.
Yeah.
How much do you think that they're going to stick Isbell with the bill? How much do you think that light's going to cost him?
I don't know. He said so. So Kyle Isbell hit the ball 111 years. Doesn't swallow them up. 2 down at the top of the second. Kyle Isbell hit a 94 mile per hour fastball to the opposite field. Left fielder Masataka Yoshida left at the warning track and tried to secure the out, but the ball sailed right past his glove. Yoshida, assuming they had careened off the 47-foot wall, spun around looking for the ball. It was not in the field of play, though. Instead, the ball had gone directly into the first out light bulb towards the bottom of the ball. It's going viral. This already went viral. Yoshida had to fish around inside the light bulb once the play had been called dead, resulting in a ground rule double for Isbell. Third baseman Duffy had come around to score in the play, but they sent him back to third. So basically, that ball saved the Red Sox a run.
Wow.
And we were just talking last week about bloopers.
Yeah.
That's about as big of a blooper as one can have because there's been the ball in the shirt before, the hidden ball trick, all that stuff.
How
Ball
about
stuck in the glove and all that.
Field? You know, how many
You
times?
cannot, and I mean cannot, in 100 years, that will not happen again in our lifetimes. Not a chance. Because
Yeah.
if it does, that's rarer than a no-hitter, perfect game, any of those things. Because, well, they got out of it.
I'll extend my stay here for 15 more minutes. I'll go for 3:45. Then I'm gonna jump out then.
Well,
Because
do it.
pitcher did Mick Pivetta kind of forced a fly out very next batter, preventing Duffy and Isbell from crossing home plate. So that light breaking may have saved the Red Sox at least a run in it. It probably was a huge play because they won 4-3. Because had it not happened, it would have been a tie game and they would have gone extra innings. But it is my Red Sox report. So.
Yeah, that damn Pivetta, I'll never get over that 13 strikeout game.
Yep. But still lost the series, so.
I'll be quiet.
No, I'm talking about the Red Sox losing that series.
Yeah.
Hey, the Red Sox still came out of that series cleaner than silk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think who we got up next, the Red Sox.
From my understanding, it is the
God.
well,
The Yankees trying to fight for the cellar dwellers there, boys.
it's
Well,
Tigers.
Jason, I'll give you this much. The Mets made out like bandits because Syndergaard has been terrible since he's left the Mets.
So
He bounced around from the Phillies to the Angels to the Dodgers. Now he's with the Indians, and he's having a hell of a time getting back on track. That game in Cleveland, that's Alek Manoah versus Noah Syndergaard. Two pitchers who used to be on top of their games, and now they've hit this. Now they've hit the cellar floor.
Yeah, but look at DeGrom at Texas and look where Scherzer goes. He's going where DeGrom is going. The two of them are going to have a field
Well, DeGrom got hurt
again.
I'm worried, and I feel bad because Chris Sale had his issues. I know he had his issues getting back to baseball. Is DeGrom going to end up like Strasburg, where Strasburg signed that 7-year contract for $210 million, and then his arm has just been blowing up every other year? And then you got DeGrom, who's had his issues. Are they going to be this generation's they were supposed to be this generation's Roger Clemens, and then all of a sudden expectations and everything else have caused them to throw too many pitches, throw too many innings, and then it's now pitch counts, pitch clocks, and everything else. It's just the fact that when a pitcher at that age, because Clemens was throwing, and we don't know if that was roids or not when he was in the 90s.
I was about to say, what if they?
How much was he jacked up with steroids that they didn't catch? You know.
Well, there's stories about Clemens and all that. He put that icy hot on his junk.
Yeah.
Okay, we're playing the Royals one more time. It's a 4-game series. It's be tonight at 7:10, and then we got the weekend series against Detroit.
Listen, if you guys don't smash the Royals, you guys got issues then.
Well, that was one of my favorite things was the Royals. I love their uniforms. Tony Pena was one of their best managers, and I feel bad for him because there's a there's a lot of things that the Royals and the Red Sox have to go through. The Red Sox have the better record. The Royals have Bobby Witt Jr. That's all they really have going for them, because when I brought up Greinke earlier, that was when he was good. Greinke is 1-13 this season.
Wow.
Jordan Lyles, who's also a pitcher for the Royals, is 1-13 this season. You have two pitchers that are combined 2-26, and their ERAs are north of 6.5.
My gosh.
The A's have 0, and I mean 0 players with 10 losses on their team. The losses have been spread out. Their worst pitcher is a 3-9 guy, I think, who's Luis Medina. He was a piece in the the Montas trade. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to go through the Rolodex here because they've traded so many players.
Yeah.
And no, Eric and David, I haven't forgot about the Lester trade for Cespedes. That still sticks right here in my craw. Yes, the A's got John Lester. Yes, he pitched well against the Royals in the 14 wild card game. Do I think Cespedes would have been the better option to keep? Certainly. Did the Mets get him for 5 seasons and have him take off? Oh, sure. Then his feet gave out and he blew both tires.
Yeah.
That's
He was bound to hit a bump in the road eventually, like they all do.
oh wow! I'm missing a heated ejection. I think that's John Schneider at the plate. He was screaming at the umpire. He was pointing his finger. Oh, the veins in his neck were popping out. He was heated about something. I guess the Blue Jays are losing to the Guardians. So who's playing the Guardians next?
For the Guardians, let me look that up. It is the Rays.
Oh, that's supposed to be good because the Guardians are currently in second place, despite being 5 games under 500.
That whole Central Division in the AL West is a mockery of jokes.
Well, the West I knew was going to be good besides the A's, but my favorite term that they're using, because they called it the NFC least when it was for the NFL. They call this one the Comedy Central.
AL Comedy Central, yeah.
There you go.
We was on Brian Snow's show last week, and he said, "Yeah, now that's the new AL Comedy Central." Yes.
So it's in that one. Anyway,
And I think about it this way. What's Boston's record right now? They've got 58, 59 wins.
yeah,
Right behind him with 54 losses, though.
Yeah, they would have second place right now in that division.
Sure.
In the NL Central. The Yankees well, that's the thing about the Twins, because the A's had trouble with the Twins. Yes, they got swept, but the A's played the Twins like the A's had more wins of just made wins of the Twins.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the fact that the A's are bad right now. If you have a bad team, you go against teams that are good, that are supposed to be trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You piss off fan bases, and it's the greatest thing in the world. When the Red Sox were bad, they were beating the A's, and the A's were missing out on the playoffs. Red Sox fans were cheering because when the Astros were bad, when the Mets are bad, and when the A's are bad and the Mets, you're rooting for that team despite how bad they are. You're trading away players, yes, but the best part of it all is you're watching the best teams the money can buy crumble underneath the weight of their wallets.
Yeah.
That's why I feel bad for the Mets. Yes, they trade away Escobar. Yes, they trade away Verlander. And yes, they trade away Scherzer. Are they on the hook for the money? Sure. Is it dead money, though? No, it's not like the Atlanta Falcons in the NFL. They had it was the Falcons and the Saints in the NFL. They had $200 million, I think, and dead cap. Meaning they were signing people pretty much on money, like deferred money, like Bobby Bonilla.
Also, look at the Padres, too.
Yeah, the Padres. That was, I hate to say it, but if the Red Sox had the Padres bank money right now, just imagine that. The Mets and the Padres give that payroll to the Red Sox. I could see the gears turning in Eric's head right now. He's like, "Oh boy, who would I sign if I had the Mets payroll right now?"
That's
'Cause-
not on my mind right now, unfortunately.
Hey, I'm trying to calm your nerves. I know this is big for you, but imagine that. You're the general manager of the Red Sox. You're giving that Yankee payroll, the Padres payroll,
And
or even the Astros. If Jeff he's giving he's the general manager and he's giving the Astros are giving the Yankees or Mets or Padres payroll. You're able to get all these players just out of the blue. You have an open wallet, and I mean for any player in history, from Babe Ruth, who was sold for $125,000. Can you imagine how much he would get paid today? And no, I'm not going on a boomer track right now because I know that's.
My mind is not on this. My mind's on the 200 episode Rant and Rave coming up. You know
I
what I mean?
know, but I'm trying to tell you here. How much do you think Babe Ruth, guys like that, would get paid now per year? Because you're seeing guys that are getting paid $45 million a year. But think about it this way: Ruth was not striking out 100+ times every season. Yes, he probably struck out some, but not too much. Can you imagine the guys that are getting on base right now? How much they'd been worth then? Would the $1 million contract have come out in 1927 when Ruth had that 60 home run season? Is he worth a couple million? It's not going to be Reggie Jackson that gets that $3 million contract. I'm giving that to Babe Ruth in 27 if that amount of money is there. Because I know the Rockefellers and stuff like that only had that type of money. Babe Ruth in 1927 was making more money than the president a year.
There you go.
So that should tell you. I don't know the conversion between $1927 and now, but he's making at least a couple million based on conversions. So
it'll be interesting with the Tony coming free agency.
Does he get $500 million?
Or just a 1-year contract?
That's going to pay him $500 million unless it's somebody with the big payroll.
Or just a 1-year
They're
contract?
already aching balls with the freaking fact that they gave up Sherlander and
Sure. Yeah, we already.
Sure Verlander and Sure.
I know. Eric said Sherlander last time too.
Sherlander, right? Yeah.
That's a combination. That's Sherlander. How many games? How many innings did they pitch together? They didn't even pitch a full season for the Mets, and that's like what, $75 million for half a season. I don't know what's going through Steve Cohen's head, but unfortunately, you know what I think it is, and you guys might laugh at this, you might not. Eric knows where I'm going with this. You know how Homer thinks and everything? Homer Simpson, it's the wind-up monkey with the cymbals. Just clapping.
Wait,
No!
Homer Simpson,
George!
Peter Griffin. Look, it's Homer Simpson meets Peter Griffin.
I know.
Of the battlefield.
And he cries over spilled milk. It's just like, you're a billionaire and you're throwing money at old men.
Yeah.
And out of context, that seems wrong. He's throwing money at old men pitching.
Interesting situation, though. You're throwing money at old men, yeah. But once these guys go to other teams, man, they're having the freaking time of their lives, except for the fact that Scherzer's got to deal with DeGrom, and Scherzer's going to have that same problem.
Scherzer had a good start 2 nights ago. The A's beat Montgomery yesterday, so I was impressed because the A's are that reminds me, the A's are calling up Lawrence Butler, who's their number 7 prospect for the National Series. Mm-hmm. So far they've called up Mason Miller, Zach Geloff, Tyler Soderstrom, and now Lawrence Butler. So they've got some prospects coming up. And Geloff is one of the more impressive ones, despite his slow on base of .315. He's got 6 homers through his first 25 games. So he's showing something. Power, speed, the ability to field at second base. This is the little bit of hope. And no, the shirt I'm wearing is not the shirt that I talked about last week. It hasn't showed up yet. I got a shirt, SELL. It'll be here within the next few days, though.
Sell.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got my own Cell shirt.
Yeah.
Wow.
It should be more like Selah, which means Selah.
Where did you buy one?
Yeah, unfortunately, I I love the fact that they're making this owner uncomfortable because they can't even build the freaking stadium. They're throwing out, like, imagine if Fenway needed a new stadium. I imagine when Shea Stadium got destroyed and everything and they built Citi Field, that was easy. Will they ever replace Fenway is my question. Because it's 111 years old. Fenway has been revamped a number of times. When do you I know this is a general question, but when do you think, if ever, Fenway will get taken down? Or you think it'll be kept as a historical monument with a fence around it and allowed to be given tours?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
I don't think there was ever any talks about them destroying Fenway.
Well, maybe back in 1999 with the All-Star game, but not since.
But it's 111 now. In 39 years, it'll reach 150 years as a ballpark. Do you think it reaches 150?
I really don't know.
I don't know if I'll be around then.
Because there's that one, and then there's Wrigley Field.
Well,
Those are the two that I hope, if they last long enough, because I know they've revamped that. They put the new scoreboard in. They don't have that old. They have two giant scoreboards. They don't have the I don't know if they have the manual one in center still, but do you consider those national monuments for Boston and for Chicago? Because those are the two oldest stadiums right now. Texas moved out of the ballpark in Arlington a couple of years ago.
Same with the Braves.
And the Braves moved out of Turner Field. But that's the thing. When I looked at I would love Camden Yards. I've never been there. But if I ever get this chance to sit in the bleachers, I will soak that in because Camden Yards is beautiful. Fenway, I'm sure Eric's been there a few times. I know David's been there a few times. I want to get a chance. If I ever go to Boston, I want to sit in the monster seats.
I've
been there once.
In the monster seat. I sat in both sides. I sat both sides of Fenway Park. When I first went there against the Yankees back in 1990, I sat on the third base side, and I believe 98 or 99. I went with one of my bosses when I used to work with at Ruby Tuesday, and with his kids. We sat. It was against Chicago. I sat on the first base side.
Have you ever visited the Williams seat?
No, I didn't.
That, for people who don't know, that's the seat that Ted Williams hit 502 feet.
Yeah.
It's the only seat that's marked, I think, specifically. It's some color. I think it's red.
It's red. Yep.
And it's in right field, like more than halfway up that set of seats. So.
And when Manny Ramirez had a home run close to that far, they marked it 5-1 because of that red seat.
Well, it's because he hit the Coke bottle.
Yeah.
That is a long way to hit a baseball because that Coke bottle is all the way up there.
When you mentioned Ted Williams, Joey, my mother just perked up just about now hearing that because she used to ride Ted Williams' horses back in the day.
Oh wow, and that's a long time because Ted Williams he's been gone now for 21 years. And one of my favorite things that me and one of my coworkers talk about is Tony Gwynn and Ted Williams were great friends. If Ted Williams and Tony Gwynn, because Gwynn retired the year before Williams died, but they did a video together. They did an interview going over the secrets of hitting.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in one of those conversations. You got Ted Williams, Tony Gwynn,
two legends.
the guy who owns the 5.5 hole at shortstop,
And
the
Bob
guy who
Costas.
could hit for power, average, and he could hit 40 home runs a season and drive in over 100 runs.
Bob Costas was also part of that.
Yeah.
Just three of the most legendary people in baseball. You got to be spoiled rotten by the fact that some of us got to watch some of the greatest hitters in baseball history. Now we watch people strike out 200 times a season and do this.
Also,
Okay, guys, I kind of hate to break it to you, but I'm gonna have to go
All right, bro.
because rate 200 episodes just in case Brandon and Jordan want to talk to me beforehand because we got many big things planned. The interview that we did last week, that's going to be shown.
6 o'clock.
And we're gonna have a sideshow complex from Romy representing both places. We're gonna have the popcorn panel podcast with us, and we're gonna have the cameos and everything else. So check out Brandon Martin's channel today at 4, episode 200, Rant and Rave, very historical episode, 6-hour extravaganza. Can't wait for the chat. So I will see you guys later. You guys have a wonderful day. And David, you got to take over from here?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you very much, David. All right. So thank you, and I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, break a leg.
Always a pleasure, Eric. Always a pleasure.
The bullseye, boy.
Yeah, Eric.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep, don't forget to check out Rant and Rave 200 coming up in about 15 minutes from now. So stay tuned.
Yeah, they're gonna have some great things planned for them.
Yeah, how come you're not part of that, Joey? What's up with that? I thought you were.
I've been busy. I've been really busy with everything else. The only thing I ever have time for is maybe this on Thursdays.
Yeah.
He has a busy work schedule.
Yeah, I work 40 hours. I work 40 hours a week, and the other 2 days I'm busy doing stuff like this. This is the only thing I've ever really done ever since I stepped away from game shows.
And watch the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
Well,
at night.
I'm glad I analyze baseball the way I do because it's a fun game, but people are just like, why do you sit for 3 hours and watch guys getting paid millions of dollars throw a baseball around? Because there's something like yesterday's no-hitter. There's been the A's had a perfect game thrown against them, and that's another thing. Domingo Germán had more issues after that perfect game. And I'm not saying this to beat a dead horse, but that perfect game ruined his life.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Because they were talking about how he was drunk in the clubhouse. And that was another thing.
When the player goes to AAA.
Yeah, he was supposed to be sent down to AAA. He got drunk. He screamed at Aaron Boone. And then they had him go to substance abuse training for the rest of the season. He's done for the season because of that. That's another thing. They banned liquor in the clubhouse because of guys like Esteban Loaiza and stuff like that. You cannot go around abusing substances. That's why there's the substance abuse policy in the major leagues. Because, yes, the Astros have had their controversy, and I'm not trying to go there, but Jesse, you remember Ken Caminiti, right?
Oh, yeah. He died.
He was the first one 20 years ago to come clean in baseball about steroids. This was the year before the steroid trials and the 3 years before the Mitchell report. Ken Caminiti was 44 years old when he passed away 20 years ago now. It was because of the after effects of steroids. He didn't end up like Lyle Alzado, who played for the Raiders and the Broncos, but steroids were a number of reasons why he had all those health problems when he did. Because as he got older, when he was playing for the Padres and when he finally retired, he was slowly realizing that his body was deteriorating. That's why you see guys like Mark McGwire, and Canseco was already crazy, so that's another thing. Yeah. And he wrote 2 books trying to get as much dirt on other people as he could. But thankfully, he never played for the Mets because when I think of the Mets, I think of Lenny Dystruck. Lenny Dystruck and his book Nails. Because I have that book somewhere here. But it goes over everything he's done and what kind of life he had. Like just general characters in baseball.
Before I forget, what was that thing you were going to show me?
Wait, which one?
That you told me earlier on Messenger.
I talked about it earlier. It was Chip Carey talking about it was Chip Carey essentially going way further than Kevin Brown ever did, and it's just like, what are you gonna do to Chip Carey that you already didn't do? And Chip Carey's the announcer now for the Cardinals, so that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. If they were gonna, because Ron Darling, I don't remember. It was Frank Francisco pitching for the Mets. He called Frank Francisco a fool for hitting somebody down 3 runs in an extra inning game. announcers have said a lot of things. Hell, we're not going to talk about what happened earlier because what happened earlier in the season with the A's, stupid announcer saying the wrong thing. Slip of the tongue does not matter. If you say something stupid, it's on air. If you gotta,
Yep.
you hit the cough button like this. And then you keep going.
The cough
Have
button.
a cough button for a reason. That's why you do this. You see the mouth moving, but that's why the announcers. That's why Kevin Brown got suspended for no reason.
Yeah.
We talked about how bad a team was. You think Gary Cohen for the Mets and everything, Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez, all those guys, you think they're not upset about the way the Mets have been playing?
Oh yeah, they're furious,
Yeah.
right now, but
That's why.
they're still
That's why.
to go out there and but they're finding other ways to entertain their crowd. Though that's why
Yes.
number one.
And that's why, even when the Astros were bad, and I'm not trying to keep bringing that up, Jesse. It's just that when the Astros were bad, there was a time where there was a play where there was a bunt, and there was like 4 different fielders. The ball was pitcher fell in front of the first baseman. First base shortstop came over. The second baseman came over to the catcher. It was just a big mess of a play. Catcher tried throwing the ball to first base on a bunt. The pitcher got in the catcher's way. Second baseman tried to dive in front of the throw and stop it. First baseman, ball was thrown over his head. Nobody complained about that. It's about the fact that it's okay for a team to suck.
Yeah.
It's okay for a team to be bad. Yes, a lot of people have lit up the A's about being the worst team in baseball. They're on pace to finish 46-116. They're supposed to be better than that Tigers team that went 43-119. The fact that the A's are going to lose a franchise record 116 games, yeah, that hurts. Is Kotze going to get fired? Probably, because you don't lose 228 games against 106 wins. You're 122 under 500 at that point. And I'm not saying that to talk bad about the franchise, but if you lose so many cornerstones like Murphy, Simeon, Olsen, Chapman, they lose Marte after half a season, Sean Manaea, Chris Bassett, Frankie Montas, all those.
Speaking of Olsen,
Trevino too. And Olsen's now hitting 40 home runs for the Braves. Am
here's
I
my
upset?
question.
Yes. Could this have been handled differently? Yes. Jonah Heim being another one. When they traded Jonah Heim with Chris Davis for Elvis Andrus. Elvis Andrus was another terrible example. He's now sucking for the White Sox. And then you got Jurickson Profar, who's now with the Rockies. He's stinking it up in Colorado. So, yeah, it's okay to be upset, and it's okay to talk bad about your team. But apparently when your owner is listening, the owners are the issue too. The way I see it, the owners are the main issue. If the Astros, Jim Crane, he wasn't brought back. I don't remember why he wasn't brought back. But still, the Astros won a World Series last year, and they tell their guy, get out of here. You're gone.
Here's my question. When the Athletics moved to Las Vegas, will you still watch the team?
I'm a fan. I'm a fan through thick and thin. And unfortunately, I do not like the fact that they're going to be moving. I will be going to the last game they ever played, that Coliseum, though, next year. I'm going to buy the tickets months in advance because you already know that's going to be a sold-out affair.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Because those Giants games that they played at the Coliseum, where they swept the Giants, which really surprised me, they had 37,996 fans there the first game.
Yeah.
And they were loud. I was watching one of those games. They were very, very loud.
I was watching the last game when I got home from Hartford, and I was just like, wow, I'm surprised. But then again, what's the series called again? I'm sorry.
Battle of the Bay.
Battle of the Bay, and that trophy It's not a piece of metal.
No, that's like the Battle of the Lone Star State. Because now I'm going to talk some positivity about these Astros. Because I'm not a fan of the Astros. As you can tell, Jesse's a massive fan of the Astros. But that's just the thing. Jesse's happy that the Astros have won 2 World Series in the last 5 years. The rest of baseball, probably not. But he's happy because he's got a team that's playing good, been playing good, and went 10 years of just drafting players. Yes, Carrera's no longer around, and Verlander, they just got back again. But here's the thing. In that 10 years, they built a team up. They got Altuve,
from scratch.
Bregman, McCormick. They got Brantley from the Indians. They built up. They got Christian Javier. They got Martin Maldonado, who was great for the Angels, for the Royals, the Brewers. And that big trade for Yordan Alvarez really helped elevate them because Yordan Alvarez was traded for peanuts from the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dodgers are regretting it every single day because they're getting a 40 home run plus guy. He's not going to be good in the field, but he's not striking out 200 times a year. He's hitting for contact. That's why I don't like the Astros, because the Astros, they have money to keep their players.
That's why people don't like the Dodgers, too, from my understanding. Because
no, you want to know why people don't like the Dodgers? People don't like the Dodgers because the Dodgers went away from their morals and values after Vince Scully passed away.
Mm.
You lose the heart and soul. You lose the voice of your team, and then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, it's okay to go out there and cause trouble. Because the Dodgers, I'll say this much. Dave Roberts, hell of a manager. He was a great player for the Red Sox. They have not earned anybody's respect because they were busy pointing fingers, yet they were trying to help keep Alex Cora employed during that World Series years ago. So, yeah, no, everything's intertwined with that stuff. But I'll give the Astros this. They got Dusty Baker a ring. I hope the Mets eventually get Buck Showalter a ring because that man's long-suffering too, because the Yankees, the Yankees, the Rangers, the Orioles, and now the Mets and the Diamondbacks. He helped shape 5 different franchises for success.
Mm-hmm.
Except every time he never got past the pennant. He never won a pennant. Never. He won the ALDS, the Division Series a bunch, but he never won a pennant.
Mm-hmm.
There's one man who's had more futility, and I feel bad for the guy. 1986, that was the year the Astros came so close against the Mets. That is one of the best NLCSs, in my opinion. 1986 for the Mets and the Astros. Billy Hatcher ties it, and then Orozco gets the final out of that series. But the fact is, I lost my train of thought. Shit.
He was on a roll, folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. 1986, Gene Mauch. I'm surprised more people don't talk about him. Gene Mauch managed for 27 years, never won a World Series. And he went through that with the Phillies too. The Phillies teams that were just brutal at the time. Who goes and takes them to a World Series? Jim Fergozzi. Jim Fergozzi, who played for the Angels and everything.
Yeah.
But the Astros in the 2000s got themselves there because of Bagwell, Biggio, Berkman, and at the start of that 2000s season, Derek Bell. Yeah, Derek Bell, who played for the Blue Jays in those 90s teams. They were the killer bees. That's how I remember the Astros from all those years ago. And for the Mets, when the Mets were good, they had Ray Ordonez and Ray Sanchez manning that middle infield. They had a great middle infield. They had it was Ray Ordonez and Garder Alfonso, Olerud playing first base. God, who was playing second then?
Well, for who?
For those late 90s Mets teams. Because there's Ordonez and shortstop Alfonso.
Olerud was at first.
Yeah. Ordonez was at second.
Agbayani was in left field, I think.
Yes. And Yeah, no, Agbayani is remembered for a number of reasons with the Mets.
Willie
He's remembered for that home run against the Giants in 2000, but he's also remembered for that same series. I think it was the same series, handing the ball off to the fan when he thought there was 3 outs.
Yeah, Ray Ordonez, John Olerud, Benny Agbayani, Willie Randolph was on with them.
Yeah, he was their bench coach.
But I think the
Alfonso played third base. I'm trying to remember the second baseman, but I don't know if it was
David Wright was with them in the early 90s. Remember, David came on right around 94, 95, I think, or 99 at that time. So he was playing third base right before. I think Alfonso was playing center field.
No, Alfonso might have been the second baseman or third baseman.
Yeah, that's right. You're right about that. Because you also
they had one of the best infields in the league, not seen since the 70s Dodgers.
Right. I can't remember who made that freaking play on the hill. Remember the guy who was on the hill?
That was Lance Berkman.
No, for the Mets. He went up all the way up on the hill on center field and took that home run away from in the Astrodome, I think. I don't know who it was.
Oh God! Now you're really testing my memories. Oh,
you would know, right? I think you knew, right?
Oh God, I don't know. I remember the Berkman catch where he ran up Towles Hill and everything, and he fell on his butt. When he caught it, he did almost a back somersault. But I'm not sure who that was. Now, if you wanted me to remember a catch from the Mets for Game 7, I think 2006 with Andy Chavez catching that home run off Scott Rowland.
Yes, that's definitely, I remember that one. You're right about that.
But Houston has had some great teams. Boston's had some great teams. Every franchise that we root for here has had some great teams. They've also fallen on hard times. 61 years ago, the Mets went 40 and 120.
Look at this crud.
What are you talking about now, punk?
Look at this.
Oh, yeah, sure. He's a fighter. What? He doesn't even have arm tattoos. Look at that. You want to talk about putting yourself over? Come on now. You don't look anything like that.
What a mark.
Yeah, that's a self-mark if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah, what a mark.
Jesus Christ, Brandon. I get it. You love the sports. Do not drink your own Kool-Aid, though. That is exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, that's going to be it for this episode here of the Dugout Crew. Thank you all for watching. And don't forget, folks, starting next month, Jason, sister here, would you kindly promote the new hockey show that we're doing, please?
Yes, the Hockey Puckers will be live. Yes, it's yours truly. The hockey 10 o'clock, 10 to midnight every Monday, starting in October 2nd. Octubre 2nd to ula elevando y cata y la vusera. Yes, that's right. For all you NHL fans. Yeah. Un hockey de Bull Pucker will be on. Yes.
Okay, I was not expecting that to be I expected something hockey related, but not hockey puckers.
The Hockey Puckers. That's my original name for it. I thought, man, yep, that's basically what you call it, a Don Rickles thing. He used to call everybody
he called people hockey pucks.
Hockey. So is Steve Allen too.
Oh yeah, but that I was gonna add something. The Hockey Puckers with the two Canuckers.
There you go.
Hey. Now you have to find some Canadians.
Well, you know what they say. Hey, you guys should come to the meetings next Tuesday night and give your inputs. We've got 3 more meetings in August. 8 o'clock on Discord.
I'll see what I can do about that because I know I'm not real big on hockey, but I know for the most part, Bettman is one of the worst commissioners I've ever heard of.
Oh,
he's up there with Manfred, and he's up there with Goodell. The only one who was ever necessarily good as a commissioner for the 4 major sports, David Stern.
I'll agree with that. David Stern.
David Stern was the best NBA commissioner, and we miss him greatly. Yeah.
And then you got what's his name? Adam Silver now?
Yeah,
Adam Silver looks horrible. He's a horrible commissioner. He doesn't do nothing to
You know who he looks like? He looks like an alien.
Yeah.
And he confirmed that aliens exist. So it's just
He
like,
looks like the guy
well, we found one.
He looks like the guy from the 3000 show. What was it? The alien. They sit in the theater. I forgot.
Oh, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, he looks like the guy.
And also don't forget.
Jesus Christ.
Also, don't forget for next month, season 2 of Let's Talk Football. If hopefully Brian Martin will be part of that from time to time because he has college, and also Victor will be part of that
I'd
as
be
well.
afraid to see David try and play football. They're just like, no, son, you can't play football here.
I can't. I'm not even around.
It's just like the Charlie Brown and take the ball away from him. You know.
Okay, David, I'm gonna hold the ball.
This time I'm gonna kick it. This time I'm gonna kick it.
Those are the best.
Oh, I just thought of something.
Just taking away the ball from him.
I know what David could be for Halloween. He could be the baby hoodie. He could be baby Belichick.
Baby Belichick.
We're thinking of making him Little Crosby, like on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh no!
Crosby,
I know, but David would just be like, "I don't want to hear it."
Doobie doo. Drink Bud Ice, but beware of the Penguins.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's just like why are you being followed by some penguins? It's just like, don't you know that's Sidney Crosby?
That's right. And Little Crosby was following him around. Yep, they had that little penguin, that little baby penguin, following Sidney Crosby around. They called him Little Crosby.
Yeah, there's some things in sports that are fantastic, I think it's fair. But that whole thing that happened with with Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson, that was one of the biggest brawls they've had since the Cardinals and the Reds in 2010. That was one of the worst ones. And then there was 2000, Chicago and Detroit, one of the bloodiest brawls ever. There was blood everywhere. There was like punches thrown. And you don't think baseball could still get violent. You just have to wait and see what they can. You piss someone off enough. And this ain't the roids era. This ain't this, that, and everything. This baseball's been through roids. They've been through pine tar. They've been through spider tack or whatever it was called. Now they're going through rosin.
Yeah.
Rosin bags exploding on the mound. It's just like it's a ticking time bomb at this point.
Only time will tell when these things will happen. That was the answer to your question is when, and I was going to say only time will tell, Joey, when these things will happen.
Robot I hate to say it, but robot umps are next. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Coming up next, you know what I mean? Artificial intelligence. Yes, sir.
And they'll still get it wrong.
I'll see you guys later.
All right.